Hello everybody and welcome to Where is Xur, IGN's weekly show where we find Xur and look at his inventory together. I'm Ty Guy Travis and this is the first week of Lightfall, so obviously we've got a new meta and maybe Xur will mix that up. Let's go and check it out. So you can find Xur down here at the EDZ in the Winding Cove over here on a cliff's edge. So let's go and pay him a visit. Alright, so once you touch down in the EDZ, go ahead and get on your Sparrow, immediately take a right. You're going to go up some little side cliffs there, and then you're going to find Xur on a cliff's edge that you get to by going through a cave. And here we are. Here's our friend Xur. Let's go and see what he's got in store. First, he's got Trinity Ghoul. This is a pretty fun bow to use in PvE. It shoots electricity everywhere. It's kind of cool, so grab that if you need it. Knucklehead Radar. This is quite a good exotic with 65 stat points. That's probably not great. It's also not very spiky. It's got pretty decent discipline and mobility, but you know, and no areas where it's really excelling. So might not want to pick that one up. Synthoceps, great exotic, but unfortunately really low roll for Titans. So unfortunately, I would skip that as well. And the same goes for Claws of Ahamkara, 65 overall. This one's slightly more spiky, at least. It's got 23 strength, but, you know, it's nothing to write home about, and in general, a little bit underwhelming in the exotics category this week. Moving over to Hawkmoon. I actually really like this Hawkmoon roll. I think it could be pretty good in PvP. Got snapshot sights, polymer grip, alloy magazine, always good, and corkscrew rifling. This is kind of almost a god roll, in my opinion. So I quite like this roll on Hawkmoon. Dead Man's Tail, on the other hand, it's got snapshot sights as well, which is pretty good. But this sort of underwhelms me a little bit. I really prefer to have a Vorpal weapon on Dead Man's Tail, which is not here. So, you know, it's okay. Snapshot sights is always good. And then let's move on to legendary weapons. So this Ikelos hand cannon is probably my top pick this week. It's got triple tap, frenzy, which is great. The extra Rasputin's arsenal that comes with all of the Ikelos weapons. It's got alloy magazine as well, which is great for hand cannons, and it's got a stability masterwork. So I would probably say this is just about as close to a god roll as you can get. I'm definitely going to pick this one up and check it out. Take it into PvP for some fresh Lightfall sandbox. See how that sandbox is feeling. Disparity. This is a good pulse rifle. It's great if you need a stasis weapon. However, this roll isn't amazing. It's got swashbuckler, increased damage from melee kills. Typically, you're not close enough to get melee kills if you're using a pulse rifle correctly. And then Eye of the Storm becomes more accurate and boosts handling as your health gets lower. Again, just a little situational. I tend to stay away from perks that are extremely situational, and having low health is about as situational as it gets. Extraordinary Rendition. This one's got Overflow and Rampage, so definitely nothing to shake a stick at. However, it's Extraordinary Rendition, frankly, is not my favorite submachine gun, just at a base level. But this roll isn't bad, so maybe pick that one up if you care. Iota Draconis really did not get along well with this roll. Cornered, again, is sort of a situational perk, which, as I mentioned, I'm less of a fan of. First in, last out. I actually like this one. Autoloading holster is a pretty good perk on shotguns, especially in PvE, where you can stow it and then pick it back up and shoot it again. And then it's also got Vorpal weapon, which is really good in PvE. So I would say this is a pretty choice PvE shotgun. Stability, not bad, man. This is probably my second choice behind the Ikelos hand cannon for this week. Interference 6. It's got autoloading holster, which is good. Full court, which is, good for grenade launchers. Proximity grenades, it doesn't have spike grenades, which is sort of always kind of my preferred grenade launcher type. So I would say this is probably pretty mid. Autoloading holster is nice. And then finally, we've got Lonesome with Grave Robber and Opening Shot. Opening Shot on a sidearm, I don't know how useful that is. Grave Robber is fine. You're usually at close range, so getting a melee kill and reloading the weapon is good. Range is decent, so this is okay. Nothing too crazy. And then finally, we're going to move on to armor, which we'll be doing Titans first. Titans this week got skunked, so they have nothing. We'll move on to Warlocks and Hunters to take a look at theirs. But yeah, just a quick scan. You can see they got really low rolls and just nothing to get excited about from Lightfall. So let's go ahead and move on to Warlocks. All right, let's take a look at what he's got for Warlocks. All right, so Warlocks do, I think, have one good roll this week. Yeah, they got one good one. So this is their gloves. Their gloves are pretty decent. They've got 64 stat points overall. The issue I have with them is there's nothing really spiky, which is sort of a sticking point for me. The other stuff is, you know, this is spiky, but 62 overall is pretty low. This has no spikiness and a low roll, and the boots have spikiness but a low roll. So a lot of, like, you know, just kind of bad rolls, and then the one that is 64 is sort of, you know, maybe it'll round things out for you, since it is pretty well rounded just across the board, but nothing super crazy. 64 is also the lowest I would go, or the lowest I would consider for legendary armor in general. So we'll move on to Hunters now, who luckily did the best this week, got the luckiest rolls, so we'll go ahead and take a look at them. All right, let's finish by looking at the Hunter armor. So Hunter's got two good rolls this week. First, there's this one, the grips, which are quite nice. They've got really high strength, 64 overall stats. You know, 64 isn't crazy, but it's good. It's decent. Something to consider if you're working on a build. And then the chest piece, not great. The boots, sadly not great. They've got really high strength, but 63 overall stat points is not great to kind of consider, but maybe this will be useful to you. It certainly isn't out of the question. The helmet, on the other hand, is an awesome roll. So 64 overall. It's got 25 resilience, 17 intellect, 12 strength. This is pretty good. Exactly what you want in a spiky roll. You know, 64, it could have been higher, but you know, no complaints. This is definitely a good option if you're working on a hunter build and you want high resilience, which is you know, the most important stat as of last season. We'll see if that holds in Lightfall. So far, I think it has. But yeah, that's what Hunter's got. So overall, kind of a underwhelming start to Lightfall here with Xur, unfortunately. But we will still be back next week when the raid launches and all that to take a look at Xur's inventory. And hopefully this video was useful to some of you guys. Also, keep a lookout for our review, which is going to be written by yours truly and should be going live pretty soon here.